So we talked about why we're stressed, and now let's jump in and talk about what is stress exactly, psychologically speaking. It's energy. That's all stress is. It's energy that our bodies produce when we wonder whether we can deal effectively with a threatening situation. Symptoms include increased heart rate, muscle tension, preoccupation, and we're going to use that energy to attack the source of our stress or to run from it. And either option can be helpful or hurtful. That's the classic fight or flight. So that's basically what's going on. Is stress is essentially, it's rooted in fear. And fear is what drives that fight or flight behavior. So when that part of our brain activates, when we're aroused into the fight or flight, we move into the reptile part of the back part of our brain, our brainstem. The higher order thinking happens up here in our frontal lobe, but the fight or flight is back here in our animal brain. And when we get into our animal brain, we're not sure if we can deal effectively with a threatening situation. Our body automatically produces, our adrenal gland produces stress hormones, mostly adrenaline and cortisol, and that's energy, which is why our heart rate goes up, which is why our thoughts start racing, which is why our muscles get tense. That's our body burning that fuel. And the purpose of that fuel, again, it's fight or flight, because our body is saying, danger, danger, danger. There's something out there that you need to be afraid of. Here's some fuel. You're going to need to fight that thing that's scaring you or to run from it, thus the fight or flight. So that's what stress is. It's essentially energy. And what we're going to do now is let's talk about how that energy can work. I use this graphic here with my athletes all the time when I'm working with athletes, and we talk about the stress and fear they experience either in practice or when they're in a high performance, a high stakes situation. We can think of it on the performances, the y-axis, and stress is the x-axis. So performance is what you bring to the table as an athlete, as a leader. Stress is what the world brings to you at no charge. So there's a curvilinear relationship between performance and stress. This is me living a life of what I call rust out. So the good news about living this rust out life here is that I'm not going to die of an ulcer. I'm not under a lot of stress, and so everything's cool. I'm very well in my comfort zone. The challenge or the problem with me living this rust out life is that I'm not at peak performance. There's more of me that I can do better in life, right? I can be better in my role as a leader. So what do I need to do to increase my performance? It's real simple. I just add stress. And then, but the challenge though, when I add stress is that this over here is a real slippery slope. And if I add too much stress for too long, then I'm burned out. So my goal as a leader and my goal for my organization is to be right here. This is my best me. This is my organization's best me as an organization. That is peak performance. So I have just enough stress and I'm managing it well so that I don't fall into burnout and I'm no good to anyone, or I don't slip into rust out or complacency where I'm functioning, but I'm not functioning at maximum performance. This is where I want to be as a leader, and this is where I want my organization to function. So again, to understand how to stay in this sweet spot, how to function in peak performance, I have to understand the fight or flight strategies that keep me here. So let's talk about those fight or flight strategies. So instead of fight or flight up here, I put engage or disengage. And we can engage in ways that are helpful, and we can disengage in ways that we can engage in ways that are helpful here, and we can engage in ways that are hurtful. We can also disengage in ways that are helpful and disengage in ways that are hurtful. And my task as a leader, as I look through those things, is I want to have a deep awareness and understanding of those strategies so that I can maximize my time up here in these quadrants. As a leader, I want to engage in ways that are helpful so that I can be a life giver, and I want to disengage in ways that are helpful so that I can be a life giver. And I want to minimize my hurtful behaviors, my hurtful engaging and disengaging behaviors as a leader. And not only do I want to live that out of my personal life as a leader, but I also want to establish a social contract in my organization with the people that I'm leading so that we as an organization agree that we're going to be life givers up here. We're going to use that stress energy to engage and disengage in ways that are helpful. And we are not going to use this stress energy to engage and disengage in ways that are hurtful. And that's going to be our social contract to each other. And when we live out that social contract as life givers, that's where we find peak performance as individuals, and that's where we come together to find peak performance as an organization.